All right, so let's talk TikTok.
Yeah.
You've probably heard about like a potential ban in the U.S.
Right.
and now it's getting real.
Mm-hmm.
As the court just like dropped this bombshell ruling, basically forcing TikTok to split from its Chinese parent company ByteDance.
Yeah.
It's causing like a serious international stir.
Huge.
To unpack this whole thing you sent over this YouTube video from a legal expert who breaks down the ruling.
Okay.
I'm ready to like dive deep into the why, the how, and the what the heck happens next of all this.
Awesome.
What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay.
What makes this case so compelling, I think, is that it pits national security concerns against freedom of expression.
Yeah.
The U.S. government claims that TikTok's Chinese ownership could pose a risk, essentially suggesting that the Chinese government could be using it for data collection or even influencing what Americans see on their feeds.
Okay, so there's like a fear about data
Yeah.
and a potential for like algorithmic manipulation.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But didn't Congress actually try and like do something about this?
They absolutely did.
Okay.
Congress passed a law specifically targeting TikTok,
Wow.
demanding they sell off their U.S. assets.
So basically like the part of the business that operates here.
Exactly.
So they're saying like, pack your bags, TikTok.
Exactly.
Wow.
And TikTok fought back.
Right.
They challenged the law in court.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the kicker. They lost.
Oh, wow.
The Court of Appeals sided with the government,
Interesting.
saying national security interests trumped TikTok's arguments.
Wow.
What's wild is this case bypassed the lower courts and went straight to the Court of Appeals.
So if TikTok wants to appeal, this goes straight to the Supreme Court.
Exactly.
Wow.
This isn't just some legal squabble. This is a Supreme Court showdown waiting to happen.
Yeah.
It's putting it on everyone's radar.
Right.
And to add to the drama, the court gave TikTok a deadline, January 19th.
Oh, wow. So the clock is ticking.
Yeah.
This is getting intense.
Mm-hmm.
But how did the court justify siding with the government? Yeah. Weren't there concerns about free speech?
Yeah, here's where it gets fascinating.
Okay.
The court applied something called strict scrutiny to this case.
Okay.
It's the highest level of protection for free speech in the U.S.,
Mm.
and it usually means the court leans towards protecting expression.
So even with that high bar for free speech, the government still won.
They did, and that's what makes this ruling so significant.
Wow.
The potential national security threats associated with TikTok's Chinese ownership
Yeah.
were deemed serious enough to override typical free speech protections.
Wow. TikTok must have put up a fight, right?
You're right.
Didn't just roll over.
They came back with a counterproposal called Project Texas.
Okay.
It was this whole plan to keep all U.S. user data on servers right here in the U.S. managed by Oracle.
Interesting.
They tried to position it as a less extreme alternative to a full-blown ban.
Okay.
They were basically saying, hey, we'll keep the data safe and sound right here in the heart of Texas.
Using the name Texas almost feels like a strategic move, right? Like appealing to American ideals.
It's a bit ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
A Chinese company invoking a symbol of American independence to appease U.S. anxieties.
So did it work?
Well,
Did Project Texas sway the government?
not quite. Both the government and the court weren't buying it.
Oh.
They argued that even with U.S.-based data storage, there was still a possibility that the algorithms themselves could be manipulated from China.
So that core issue of potential Chinese government influence was like unresolved in their eyes.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is that some people are saying that even though this was like a legal win,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like the U.S. government bullying another country into selling off assets.
Right.
It seems harsh to force a company to sell just because of where it's from.
It's definitely a valid concern, and it underscores the complex geopolitical dynamics at play.
Yeah.
However, we have to remember that the U.S. has a sovereign right to regulate its borders. And in this digital age, that includes digital borders.
Right.
This ruling is a bold assertion of that, right?
So it's about more than just TikTok.
Yeah.
It's about setting boundaries in this like increasingly digital world.
Definitely.
This brings up a question from the comments on that YouTube video we're referencing.
Okay.
Someone asked, could this ruling set a precedent for banning other foreign companies?
Right?
Or even U.S. companies that misuse user data?
It's a great question that gets to the heart of this case's broader implications.
Yeah.
This law is laser focused on TikTok
Okay.
and the perceived national security threat from its Chinese ownership.
It's not about general data privacy issues.
Right. At least not directly, however. Well, it does make you wonder.
Yeah.
Could this case open the door for future legislation that targets other companies? based on data security or foreign ownership concerns.
Yeah.
It's a development worth keeping an eye on.
Definitely. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
I want to bring back to you, the listener.
Yeah, okay.
What are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah.
How do you feel about potentially losing TikTok? Would it impact you directly?
Right. Yeah. It's fascinating to think about like the ripple effects of a potential TikTok ban, not just for users like you, but for like the entire digital landscape. Like if TikTok vanished from the US, it would leave a massive hole in social media.
Right.
Millions of people use it for entertainment connection, even like running their own businesses.
It's true. It's become such a cultural force.
Yeah.
And what about all the creators who have built their careers on the platform?
Exactly.
This ban could seriously impact, like, their livelihoods.
Exactly. The economic consequences would be huge.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there are like deeper questions about freedom of expression and access to information. Some people argue that banning a platform because of its country of origin sets a dangerous precedent.
So it's like we're potentially trading one problem, data security and potential foreign influence, for another even bigger problem, government censorship and a less open internet.
Precisely, it's a delicate balancing act.
Yeah.
On one hand, you have governments with a duty to protect their citizens from national security threats and keep their data safe.
Right.
On the other hand, too much control over online platforms could stifle innovation, limit free speech, and ultimately hurt the very people those measures are meant to protect.
It's almost like we're entering a digital Cold War.
Yeah.
With governments battling for control over online platforms and the flow of information.
That's a powerful analogy.
Yeah.
And it raises questions about what the future holds.
Right.
Will we see more bans and restrictions on foreign tech companies? Will governments get more assertive in regulating online content?
Yeah.
Ultimately, who gets to shape the internet of the future?
It's a good question.
These are questions we, as citizens and users of these platforms, need to be thinking about and discussing.
You're absolutely right. This isn't just a TikTok story.
Right.
It's a story about the future of the internet as we know it.
Yeah.
Now, this legal expert in the video we're dissecting, he made another point that stuck with me. He said the court's focus wasn't just on TikTok being owned by a Chinese company, but on its direct control by ByteDance.
Yeah.
Which itself is controlled by the Chinese government. So it's almost like they're saying TikTok IS China.
Right.
At least legally speaking.
That's a crucial distinction.
Yeah.
It gets to the core of the government's anxieties about foreign influence. They're essentially arguing TikTok isn't just a neutral platform.
Right.
It's an arm of the Chinese government, potentially used to further its interests.
And that's where it gets really unsettling.
Yeah.
I mean, if a government can manipulate what we see on our feeds, that has huge implications.
It certainly raises concerns, and it highlights the growing tension between the U.S. and China, which is playing out not just on the world stage, but also in the digital realm.
Yeah.
The TikTok case is just one example of these tensions spilling over into the tech world and shaping the internet's future.
Okay, so we've covered the court ruling, the national security concerns, the free speech arguments, and the impact on U.S.-China relations.
Right.
It's a lot to process.
It is, and it's not just theoretical.
Yeah.
This ruling has tangible consequences for both TikTok and its users. Remember that January 19th deadline we mentioned?
Yeah.
If TikTok doesn't sell off its U.S. assets by them, then the ban automatically kicks in.
So this could all be resolved before the ban actually happens. There's still a chance.
Absolutely.
Okay.
TikTok could still appeal to the Supreme Court, hoping for a reversal or at least a delay.
Yeah.
They could also strike a deal with the U.S. government that satisfies both sides.
So we're all kind of holding our breath to see what happens next.
Yeah.
This situation is clearly evolving rapidly.
It is, but as we watch this unfold, it's important to remember this isn't just about a social media app.
Right.
It's about power control and the very fabric of the internet.
It really makes you wonder, what does all this mean for us? As individuals, as citizens, as users, caught in the middle.
That's the key question.
Yeah.
Because the future of the internet isn't something happening to us.
Right.
It's something we're actively shaping with our choices, our voices, and our actions.
This case is a powerful reminder that those choices, those voices, and those actions carry more weight than ever.
Yeah.
But what can we actually do in the face of something this big?
First and foremost, stay informed.
Okay.
Keep learning about these issues. Follow the developments and engage in thoughtful conversations with others.
You know, it's easy to feel overwhelmed with all the information out there.
Yeah.
Where do you even start?
That's why resources like this deep dive are so valuable.
Right.
We're here to break down complex topics, provide context, and empower you to make informed decisions.
And beyond staying informed, we can also support policies that protect our privacy, encourage free speech, and ensure a fair and open internet, right?
Absolutely. Contact your elected officials, support organizations that align with your values, and use your voice to speak out against censorship and excessive government control.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility to shape the digital world we want to live in. We can't just sit back and watch it happen.
So we have a right, and maybe even an obligation, to demand a digital future that is safe, equitable, and puts individuals first. This legal expert brought up another point at the end of the video, and I'm curious to get your take on it.
Okay.
He expressed concern about Chinese investments in the U.S.,
Yeah.
specifically land purchases near military bases and involvement in infrastructure projects.
Right.
He seemed to suggest that this TikTok ban is just a small part of a much larger issue.
It definitely suggests that this tension between the U.S. and China, it's like much broader than just one social media app.
Right.
We're seeing like this growing distrust and competition
Yeah.
between these two global superpowers. And it's impacting everything from trade and technology to national security and international relations.
It feels like we're trying to figure out how to engage with China economically without compromising our own values or security.
Yeah.
It's not an easy task.
Right.
And the answers aren't clear-cut.
You're absolutely right. And the TikTok case is like this miniature version of that struggle.
Yeah.
It forces us to grapple with these complex issues of data privacy, freedom of expression,
Right.
and the government's role in regulating the digital world.
It's like we're living through like a real-time case study in digital ethics. How do we weigh the potential risks of foreign influence and data misuse
Right.
against the benefits of a free and open internet?
Yeah.
That's a tough call.
It really is. And there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
But the important thing is that we're having this conversation,
Yeah.
engaging with these issues and demanding transparency and accountability from both governments and tech companies.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
What can we do as individuals to navigate this increasingly complicated digital world? It's easy to feel powerless in the face of these massive geopolitical forces.
I understand that feeling, but we're not powerless.
Okay.
First and foremost, we need to stay informed.
Yeah.
Keep learning about these issues, follow the developments, and have thoughtful discussions about them with friends, family, colleagues, anyone willing to engage.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
But it's easier said than done. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by like the sheer volume of information out there.
It absolutely can be. That's why resources like this deep dive are so important.
Okay.
We're here to break down these complex topics, offer context, and empower you to make informed decisions about your digital life.
Right. It's all about equipping ourselves with the knowledge to make informed choices.
Yeah.
And beyond staying informed, we can also actively support policies that protect our privacy, promote freedom of expression, and ensure a fair and open internet.
Exactly. We have a responsibility to help shape the digital world we want to live in. We can't just be passive bystanders. We need to be active participants in shaping the future of the internet.
It's a powerful reminder that our choices, our voices, and our actions matter.
Yeah.
We have a right and maybe even a responsibility to demand a digital future that is safe, equitable, and prioritizes individuals rather than controlling them.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the potential TikTok ban, remember that it's just one piece of a much larger puzzle.
Right.
It's a story about power control and the ongoing struggle to shape the future of the internet.
Yeah.
Stay informed, stay engaged, and use your voice to advocate for the digital world you want to see.
And on that note, we hope this deep dive has given you the information and the inspiration to do just that.
Right.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep until next time.